was media day today, in case you missed it. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. But Anthony Edwards took to the press when he was asked, which teammates do you miss the most, either on the court or off the court? His answers honestly kind of shocked me when he said Jared Vanderbilt and Josh Okogie. Okogie and him like barely overlapped, to be 100% honest. Okogie was the 2018 draft, and Vando was there with him until we got Rudy in 22. Only a couple seasons. I guess those were when Ant was young and the team kind of sucked. So I'm sure those guys bonded over the joint of losing. And I'm sure Okogie was a great locker room guy who's now down in Houston, and obviously Vando's still in L.A. with the Lakers. But I was interested to hear his answer. One, because I thought it might be Karl Anthony Towns or even Patrick Beverly, but to hear it was like two guys who, towards the end of their time at the Timberwolves, were barely playing and weren't making the impact that we were hoping they could have. One guy was, I mean, Vando was shipped off to get Rudy. That's not his own choice, but Okogie left us in free agency for the Suns, where he was then passed to the Hornets, and now he's down in the Rockets. So he left on his own accord when we went in a different direction with the team. And it's interesting that Ant misses him. It was weird. I was really expecting him just to say Karl Anthony Towns. I miss Karl Anthony Towns. But instead he dropped profanity and said Jared Vanderbilt. So interesting choice by Ant, and I hope that Cat doesn't see that and he's not like, what about me? We went to the Western Conference Finals together. I was your guy. And then uses that as ammo every time we play the Knicks this year. But I guess we'll find out sooner than later. That's really it on media day. Timberwolves media day was pretty quiet. There was some other stuff, especially on Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels, happy birthday, by the way. 25 years old today. I'm recording this September 29th. That's crazy that he's 25 years old. Still very much coming into his own. But that was one of the other things addressed in media day. Chris Finch took talking about how he wants Jaden to direct the ball more in the offense instead of just kind of be. Jaden just kind of will stand on offense if he doesn't have the ball or doesn't see something he can go get. He will just kind of nonchalantly stand there and wait for his opportunity or wait for a rebound or wait until it's time to go back on defense. So I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of Jaden, especially if Finch is that high on him. We know how Finch will talk about people when he's ready to use them a little more, and that is certainly one way to speak about a guy if you're ready to use him a bunch more in the offense. Obviously, the defensive side of Jaden's game has been there, so he's got to keep that up and figure out how to be good on the offense. But I don't think he's going to struggle this year, especially as a 25-year-old. He's kind of had his time in the league to come into his own, and now we're getting into those prime years of him and Ant. That's really it. Those are just those two left at this point. It is very weird to see how many young guys we had come in and now they're gone. Like, who remembers Wendell Moore? Yeah, I miss that guy kind of. Jared Culver, obviously, right before Ant. That was our first round pick in 2019. Josh Okogie, 2018 first round pick. Keita Bates Diop in there. Like, some other randos that just didn't pan out. And it's really just Jaden and Ant from that 2020 year. I believe every other first round pick before that is gone, which is wild to say that we don't have a first round pick on our team that we selected since 2020, which is, it's not unheard of, but it's weird that we built a team by not drafting it necessarily outside of like Clark, Rob, and TSJ, and Nas was even a free agent, like a undrafted free agent in 2019, so we didn't even draft him, so we have no draft picks from 2019 and before. It's weird to be this good of a team with that happening. Speaking of just kind of rumors that are floating around and whether or not I believe them, the point guard option, it's not getting addressed. It hasn't been addressed by Finch in Media Day. It wasn't addressed in free agency. It wasn't addressed in the draft. It still isn't settled on if it's going to be Rob or Dante or Conley again. We're not sure what's going on. So is someone like Russell Westbrook an option? My short answer is going to be hell no. Let's avoid that bullet. I don't. That's not a bullet I really want to take for the league. I don't think it's worth it for the Timberwolves necessarily. I think we're good, is what I think. I've seen him lose games for the Nuggets. I've seen him win games for the Timberwolves without him on our team. Like he's given us wins because he does this thing where he feels like he has to take over late in a game. And about it's honestly 50-50. 50% you're going to get the guy who was averaging a triple double and has the most triple doubles in the league all time. The other 50% you're going to get Westbrook, the one that is banned from being said in an NBA stadium. Uh, and that's just the two-sided coin that is Russell Westbrook at this point. Um, and I don't think a lot of teams are really open to it being on their team. I know the Kings are another team that's looking at him, and that means that they'd probably move someone like Devin Carter. And if that is the case, I'd rather go get their scraps of Devin Carter than sign Russell Westbrook and have to put up with one, the media that comes with them, two, his personality meshing with this team. I don't see that working. I can't picture Westbrook in a Timberwolves jersey, first of all. It would be like him in a Wizards jersey. Like, why did that ever happen? Him and Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert would just look weird next to each other too. Like those three being on the same team is like seeing Patrick Ewing on the Supersonics. Like I don't want to see Russ in a Timberwolves jersey for that matter. Um, he just needs to retire. Him and Chris Paul both, I think, probably should have ended it this year. Um, but they're running it back. Chris Paul is obviously back on the Clippers, trying that again. Russ was on the Clippers this last year. Uh, am I talking crazy? Or is he on the Nuggets? Was he on the Nuggets last? I don't know. I know he was on the Nuggets recently. I'm losing track of time now, but obviously I watched games last season where he was on the Nuggets for was that a whole? Oh my gosh, I'm losing track of years while we're sitting here. But I don't think Russell Westbrook is worth the time for the Timberwolves in any matter. I think he's going to hinder Rob's time that he's going to get. You're taking minutes away from a guy who's trying to develop. Conley is much more consistent, even if that consistency has Conley's floor is higher than Westbrook's, but Westbrook's ceiling is higher than Conley's, if that makes sense. I'd rather go with the safe option of Conley, and then Dante is the same case as Rob. Like he's a guy who thrives in consistency, and if you're going to bring in a fourth guard, you're going to take that consistency of minutes and being able to play away from Dante. So the headache doesn't need to exist. We'll be fine this year. If he's a free agent and we have some injuries pop up, go get him. You know, like I think then it makes sense. But right now, where we sit as a team, I don't think it makes any sort of sense to go chase a guy who could end up being more trouble than he's worth. Um, Now, I just kind of want to return back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the episode, where we talked about, you know, our guy Ant. He misses his friends of Josh Okogie and Jared Vanderbilt. For some reason, those were his two closest teammates on and off the court when they were here with us on the Timberwolves. I still can't wrap my head around it. We're 8.5 minutes down this episode, and I'm still trying to figure out how that's who he chose to talk about on Media Day. It felt like he was just going for like a deep cut for all the fans. Like, you remember when me and Josh and Okogie were on the same team? I honestly don't. I can't believe that Okogie is on the Rockets after he was dubbed the Harden stopper, if you guys can remember that. It's also very weird that two of Ant's teammates were the best two defensive players on the team at a certain point. Like Vando, when he was good, he was good. I mean, he's making $11 million a year on the Lakers, which is crazy. And Okogie's barely making 2.2. Vando's played like, I don't know, maybe half a season in the last 3 years. He's been just horribly injured. Ant even let him know that. That's what makes this even weirder. Is last year Vando was talking trash to Ant during a game, and I believe Ant said something along the lines of, "And you can't even stay healthy." Not necessarily something I would say to my friends, but hey, to each their own. If that's his guy, I'm sure they have an understanding. But yeah, good for you. But in this trade, it's plain and simple. Okogie's making 2.2. Leonard Miller's making 2.2. Leonard Miller, have fun in Houston. You're gonna love it down there. Get off my team. The Vando side of things doesn't make sense for our team to do, I don't think, unless they were to throw some picks our way. We'd be just swapping Jared Vanderbilt for Dante. They get Dante, they get some shooting alongside Luka and Austin Reeves and LeBron. In my eyes, if that were to happen, I think that means that they've gotten rid of Austin Reeves and he's no longer there. And so you kind of need more shooting. And I don't think an Austin Reeves trade is too far out of the picture this year. Um, I don't think it's sustainable to have him, Luka, and LeBron on a team. Even if LeBron's going to be done after this year, you'd probably want to keep him together with Luka. But again, I don't really know if that's going to happen. But that's the trade I would make if Anthony Edwards really misses those guys and those are his favorite teammates. And if he was like, I need my guys back, go get them. There you go. I've done the work for you. So, Tim Conley, if you need it, just watch this video and you'll be able to figure it out. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know what you caught from the media day, anyone you'd like the Wolves to sign, and anything else, drop it in the comments. And until next time, I will see you then.